the placement that Gen X is like, we don't have time for that.
Oh, wait, don't turn off the electric. I forgot,
That's so mean and nasty, Connie.
We're not, y'all.
A meal prepper for the week and the water prepper for the end of the world.
I just believe it'll all work out. Yeah.
I want you to etch my face into Mount Rushmore, Connie.
Absolutely, Meredith. I will do that immediately.
Hi, everyone. It is Meredith and
Connie Jo.
Hi, we are here to talk about the meaning of the second house. And we hope so much that you have been loving this series. Yeah. So we have the second house, and then we will be doing the first house, and then the entire series is ready for you to do a deep dive into. So what we're going to do is we're going to talk about all the signs, all 12 zodiac signs in the second house. So you can go look at your gorgeous natal chart and you can see, what do you have there? Do you have Aries? Do you have Taurus? And you might have 1, 2, or 3 different signs in your second house. If you have a sign that's intercepted, you will have up to 3 signs in your second house. So we're going to talk about the meaning of the second house, which is your value, what you value, what you feel the journey of discovering your personal self-worth and your material resources, your personal finances, your material possessions, and the things that we value. But it's also deeper than that, isn't it, Connie?
It's a lot deeper than that. I think a lot of people look at this house as the career house. And it is one of the career houses because it's where we make our personal income with our resources, our talents. But it's so much more, because if we look at the first house as where we come into this world, where the ascendant is, the physical body, and then the third house is actually we discover our community, our grade school years, our neighborhood. The second house is more like our toddler years. Think about it like this, because on the natural zodiac wheel, it's ruled by Taurus. And so you have a 2-year-old and they realize that they have things of their own. And they say, mine, mine, mine. This is where you realize that you have possessions. This is also, think about it, where we learn to talk, where we learn how to eat food. If you think about it as the toddler house, and that is not demeaning to anyone that has planets in this house, because I have a slew of them, but this is where I picked up my Nashville accent. This is where your parents teach you to talk. And, Meredith, this is also a house where parental love and support are very important. I think it really feeds a lot into how we feel about ourselves and the self-esteem part of the puzzle that goes with it.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right, Connie. There is a sense of security and stability. Did you grow up with security and stability? And when planets are transiting your second house, all of these things that we're going to talk about, what Connie just said, come into play. So we do need to pay attention to our progressed chart, right? Planets in our progressed chart, if they're in the second house. We need to look at transits. If you have the sun transiting your second house, or Jupiter or Uranus, right? Uranus just changed into Gemini. But I like that, Connie, because I do think this is one of the houses of security, the second and the fourth.
Yeah, I agree. And the second house, not only is it how our speech patterns are formed, but it's also rules the throat. So I think you find that people that have a well-aspected second house or lovely planets in the second house, sometimes they make their living, their career is singing or talking. Maybe they do interviews, but using their voice to do these things. I'm kind of getting ahead of us here a little bit, Meredith, but also food. Great chefs have lovely second houses, so it's a lot more than just the career house, which I think everybody kind of goes, oh, that's the career house. Boom.
Absolutely. Also, we got to remind everybody that this is Venus's house, because this is the natural house of Taurus, which is Venus ruled. And so there's a Venetian quality. So whatever planets you have in the second house, these planets are going to operate and act with a Venetian quality. And when you think about Venus, love, peace, beauty, harmony, value, resources, money, but also I was going to say, we cannot forget the arts,
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. Loving the arts, loving music, loving dance, loving painting. Do you find the second house has challenges in it?
I do. I think that people don't realize the second house is where their resources think, and the resources aren't just money, it's your talents. I think people don't realize that's where their talents lie. So again,
you want a good, strong second house. And
yeah,
I think we grow our second house. Like we're not born with usually just this fabulous set of talents and self-worth. And,
yes,
oh, I feel so safe and secure, right? Like we really grow this house.
you're right. Because think about it, if this is the house of the toddler, mine, no, if it's that house, then of course it grows, it enlarges, it gets better as we get older.
Yeah. And as we learn more and I think also this house has a lot of self-sufficiency themes,
Yeah,
like
I do too.
can I do it? Like how you said, mine. That also toddlers say, no, I do it. I do it.
I do it myself.
Mhm.
Yes.
Okay. Should I dive into Aries? Should I start with Aries?
Absolutely.
Okay. I'm going to start with Aries and then I'll give you Taurus.
Oh, thank you.
I think of Aries as, okay, Aries is Mars ruled and it's sitting in a Venus house. So if you have Aries here, the warrior of worth, like there are probably going to be many battles around what is your worth. Your worth might be doubted. Your personal value might be squashed or diminished, but that is only to get you in touch with what are you worth? What's it worth to you? And also get you in touch with what do you value in life? This is value systems too. And so when Aries is here, their approach to money and resources and value systems is usually, I don't know if I want to use the word attacked, but maybe approached with great initiative and drive. And there's a competitive edge to prove my worth.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, they might feel like they were the runt of the litter. And so now I have to do something because I was the runt. And so they will take risks and they will take like bold action into proving to themselves or finding, maybe I should even say in the very beginning years, it's just finding and pursuing their own worth, their value. But there's, I think, a desire for real financial independence with Aries on this house cusp or Aries inside this house. And I think that money is energy to them. Like earning money creates freedom. It satiates my spontaneity or my impulses. It allows me to take initiative and do new things, be productive. But these people are on the great conquest of, I think, financial wealth, financial maturity, financial security. Money's important. And it's usually like big, fast, quick money. And they don't want to wait around and work some slow job to grow some slow nest egg, in the stock market. They don't want to invest in utilities, Connie.
I gotcha. And I think this placement has real potential for leadership as well, because you mentioned independence, but they can also be great leaders if their self-worth puts them in that place.
Absolutely, because that's when they start to see their value. Like they want to prove their value, their leadership through their assertion. And so I think even as a young toddler, they probably like press those boundaries. Like I'm the boss, I'm in charge. Oh, I'm not, I think also there's a motto here that says like they find their worth when they fight, when they argue, when they win an argument, when they produce, when they initiate, when they lead, when they take charge. I think there's early life messaging around, hey, daddy, I came home and Johnny like popped me in the face. And dad says, well, did you pop him back? That's very second house Aries.
It is. I agree 100%. Yeah.
No, I ran away. What? Tomorrow you go back to school and you pop him in the face, Timmy.
And yeah, that's when don't you start a fight, but you better finish it.
Yeah, right. But I'll tell you, I think these people can take risks with their money or with their investments or like their financial plans. Like this is kind of funny, but I think they could gamble. Like they could put their $100 down at blackjack more easily than if you have, and you'll get to it, Taurus here.
Taurus, you got it.
And they like immediate rewards. They like to play those pull tabs or the lotto, or, they really need to grow and cultivate patience around money, patience around discovering their self-worth, and not to blow up if they weren't the leader or they didn't get the job, or, not to become totally devastated, because there are new opportunities for Aries in the second house. There are new opportunities around every corner. The self-starting freelancer too, the adventurous entrepreneur, don't you?
Mm-hmm. I do too.
Oh, I also think these people could be paid like on a sliding scale, like on a commission, or doing something where they get paid for their effort. They get paid for their energy. Like if I book 1,000 gigs, I get such and such.
Right.
They're very action oriented that way. Don't you think this could be a person who is super athletic?
Yeah, I was just thinking the same thing. Sports, big time for this. Yeah.
Sports, or their job could be even the military or a firefighter. That Aries, this is usually a Pisces rising person, most likely, right?
Right.
But with Pisces rising here and Aries in the second house, this is somebody who could also be like a really creative entrepreneur or an artist, a ballerina, an artist. You were saying using the voice, paid also for their imagination or their creativity or diplomacy, everything Venus. But I think it's kind of interesting to think about being Pisces rising and then maybe getting to earn your money with this creativity, this Venetian quality.
Yeah. I like that.
I have two people in my life that are, three really close people in my life that are Pisces rising with Aries in the second house. And two of them are very bold, and they freelance their energy and their time and their creativity and their strategy and their diplomacy and their artistic qualities. And one of them, it plays it very safe. But that one that plays it very safe is a Cancer. So you guys have to look at your whole entire chart. That reminds me, we don't do sun sign astrology, but we do want you to understand the depths of the meanings of these houses. And if you don't have any planets in the second house, but you have Aries there, go and see what Mars is doing in your chart, because that Mars will show you how that second house is operating. Okay.
It'll tell the story. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. You take it from here.
Okay. Taurus is just the opposite. They usually do not like to take risk. This is usually Aries rising. So it's funny how the rising sign and the second house cusp are so very different. But I think that they may even gain their own self-worth through what they have or what they earn, that they place a lot of value on their material wealth and what they have. But this is also the person that probably makes money easily. They can actually go into wealth management or do something along those lines, investments. They would be really good at that because they're willing to wait. Now, it's not that they're going to take the big risk like Aries would, but you got to remember these are Aries rising for the most part. So they're going to take some risk, but they are not afraid to be the turtle and wait for the wealth to come in. That's really a big deal for them. But these people are so sensual. They love physical touch. This could be a chef. This could be a singer. As I said earlier, Taurus rules the throat. And you've got to look to Venus in your chart to kind of see what that might be doing there. But what if your Venus was in Pisces? You might be an opera singer. You might sing great rock and roll. I don't know. But it could be very musical if your Venus were in a sign like Pisces. What if your Venus were in Taurus? You may be an incredible chef. This is a placement that can be a bit stubborn too, Meredith, because it is a fixed sign. And they may be, if they're the kid that's going to say, I do it myself, or no, mine. Sorry, Taurus on the second house. But yeah, it's true. And, not everybody is going to get their value from their wealth or their career. But I do think that happens a lot when you have Taurus on the second house cusp. It does. And
I do too.
I think they would also be good in the hospitality industry, not just food oriented, but owning the hotel or the bed and breakfast, and fixing things up and being able to serve people and everything is, I think with this placement, as long as it makes money, it's good for them.
Yeah. But they also really like creature comforts. They'd be really good at bed and breakfast, like good food, good blankets, good pillows, things that smell nice. I do think this is a very materialistic placement. Like if you have planets here, there's like a very high preoccupation with money, 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 money. How am I going to make money? Even if you have like a malefic planet here, a Saturn here, or a Pluto here, or a Uranus here, or even a Neptune, it's like a fear of then we start getting afraid of, do I have enough food? Do I need to ration my cans? Am I prepping? And this is the prepper. A meal prepper for the week and the water prepper for the end of the world. This is the prepper.
No, I think you're right. I do. I think that is it's when you have even the moon in the second house, you become very occupied with stability, security, and Taurus on the second house cusp is very stability, security oriented. That is the goal. I need enough to be secure. I need enough to feed the cat. And you know what I mean?
Yeah. And also you start collecting resources to make you safe. So now we have security cameras, we've got guns, we've got ammo, we have a horse ready to run.
Yes, I agree.
We're milking cows on the farm or running our ranch. Like this is very right. Like I make my own food. I've got my own ammunition. I can live off the grid. I've got all my chargers. I mean, if there was a power outage or a storm or an earthquake tonight, I would not be one of these people remotely prepared. I would be going to neighbors. Do you have food and water?
And it's funny you said that because I live in Florida. I should have my hurricane kit ready, right?
Yeah. Okay. I have my hurricane kit in Seattle. Okay. I have my earthquake kit. Like I've got one thing over there and one thing over there and my batteries in the garage and my flashlights in my dining room.
Yes.
And my candles, all the wicks are flat.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's bad. I have to tell you this funny story. So I went over to one of my dearest friends' houses in Arizona when I was on a trip, and they asked me to go get something in the garage. I don't know. It was like they have a second refrigerator in there. So I went to go get it in the garage, and all their cars are taken out of the garage. And my friend Todd, he has this tank that fills up his 3-car garage in Arizona. They have a pretty big garage. I didn't know it was a tank. I was like, what the hell is that monstrosity in your garage? Like, where are your cars? What have you done? Like, nothing can get into this garage. And he's like, oh, we're prepping. That's how I learned about preppers. We're prepping. And he has I think he has Mars in the second house. So, or he has something like Aries rising. Yeah, Taurus, second house. Right. And so,
yeah.
I was like, you need to get rid of that. And he's like, actually, we're going to sell it on eBay. I'm like, how do you even tow this thing away?
Right.
It was like the size of his house almost. It was so big. I'm like, the water's going to go bad in that big plastic weight thing. He's like, well, there's a filtration system. I'm like, oh my God.
Yeah. Well, I think that's another trait of the second house cusp with Taurus. They're prepared.
Yeah. And I'm going to go to his house, but I don't personally, I don't really have this placement. I don't want to have to think like that. Can I just be in the la la land? I just want to be in the la la land.
Yeah, right.
I don't want to think like that.
I don't either.
I don't want to have to think about like if I had to go out there and, find my own meal. I'm telling you what the options I've got in my neighborhood are a coyote, a bear, a rabbit, or a squirrel, or a deer. Now, what one am I really going to be able to capture and eat? Probably a squirrel.
My options are even worse. Squirrels, lizards, maybe an alligator. I don't know.
Oh, and a snake. You get to eat snake for dinner, and they come into your house, so they just slither right up into the frying pan.
Yeah. Oh my God, remember when I was talking to you on the phone and the black snake came up in the garage? I said, Meredith, excuse me, snake in the garage. Anyway.
Oh my gosh. Okay. So let's talk about Gemini. I think communication becomes a big part of the value system here. If you have Gemini in the second house, people make money usually through using their minds, their words, their language, their teaching, their networking. They're the little networkers. Gemini here is like the person who can get filthy rich being a real estate broker. This is very real, selling corporate or commercial real estate or selling yachts, selling houses, because they're relationship builders and they really value building relationships. I think selling, teaching, working in the media, speaking, writing, and investigative journalist, or just a journalist working a beat. Yeah. But I think these people really came to learn, and maybe they started talking fast, like not just mine and no, but like more complex communication, because communication became a way for them to feel very safe and secure. Like if they were learning, talking, listening, that's how they felt safe, through speaking. Intellectual stimulation is also great value. So they might have been told young, you're smart, you're a great communicator, you're interesting to listen to. They got that somewhere. So if you guys have this placement, please leave your stories, because it helps other people as they listen to our video. They go and read the comments. The comments are so entertaining. Tell your little story. Like, do you have Gemini here? And were you a quick learner? Were you bilingual? Like, how many languages, do you know? And language, I think, also goes into that third house for sure, because that's Gemini's house. But see, now we're putting Gemini energy into Taurus's house of what do you value? So you value Gemini things.
Knowledge, learning.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I think, though, that these people have flexibility, adaptability, and maybe even their money changes. Maybe their currency changes. Maybe their money changes. Maybe their relationship to money changes. Maybe they've earned enough money in their life where now they just want to earn a different kind of currency, like love. I think the challenge with this placement is they can really get depressed or down on themselves if they feel like they're not producing new ideas, if they don't have relationships, if they lose their network, if they lose their book of business, if they don't stay like mentally relevant. I think that can be just soul crushing if you have Gemini here. You have to see what your Mercury is doing, because Mercury is now the ruler of this house, or it's ruling this house. I will say, I think these people also have really big inconsistencies financially, like high highs, low lows, and everything in between. And they don't always want to be, they're not the best as savers. Maybe they don't have even the 401k. I think this also brings a multitasking energy to the way they earn their money. Like they could be a public speaker, a teacher, and have another job. Like there could be multiple side hustles, and they could really juggle. Their talents could have a lot of variety.
They could also be good. I can't think of the right word, but interviewers, because the second house rules the voice. And with Gemini there, the great communicator, they would be really good at interviewing people or using their voice somehow like that.
Yeah,
the person that does the audiobooks.
Their worth and wealth maybe come from words.
Yeah.
That's great, Connie. I love that. My favorite audiobook reader, she has won so many awards. She is so famous. She's the #1 audiobook reader. Her name is Julia Whalen. And she reads the Kristen Hanna books. And she also reads the V.S. Schwab books. Anyways, I love audiobooks. She is so talented that now all I do, because she is so amazing, she can change her voice into being like an Italian grandfather and a Spanish. And then she can do like a Spanish little girl, a Spanish little 8-year-old. And then she is just so talented. Her name is Julia Whalen. Now I don't even go and look for a book. I go and look for the books that Julia Whalen reads.
Oh, wow.
And I will read the books that she reads, because she's the #1 audiobook reader. She's gotten the Peabody Award. She's gotten Grammys. She has gotten so many awards for her voice, for her ability to make books come alive, that now she only reads the very best books written. You can't even.
That's amazing.
So I look for the person reading the book more than the author.
That's crazy.
That's very second house. Well, I know the book is going to be great, and I know the author is going to be phenomenal if they booked her, if they contracted her. Yeah. So that's cool. Okay. What do you think about Cancer here?
I think really the main thing with Cancer, on the second house cusp is that they depend on emotional security. Emotional security is what is relevant, most important to them. That is what they value. They want to feel emotionally secure. Because it's ruled by the moon, I think things can also fluctuate a lot if you have Cancer on this cusp. Also, I think that they probably make decisions based on their gut, their instincts, their intuition, even more than the physical world, what they see, hear, they go with their gut about things. I think also that this is a very traditional placement. The things that they have sentimental value to them. It's not that it's very different from Taurus and from the other signs even but they value their possessions because they mean something to them. They've got that nostalgia. I think this is a very nostalgic placement as far as what people collect or what they have, their material possessions. I also think they would be really good counselors, therapists, but this is the best one. This is the perfect placement for a home-based business.
Oh, yeah, that's fantastic.
Because being at home is comfortable to the sign of Cancer. And if it's on that second house cusp, why not make your living in your home? Their mother probably had a big part in shaping their values anyway, because it's ruled by the moon. But their emotions are what gives them security. And if they're having problems emotionally, this is the kind of person that would say, I'm not working today. You really hurt my feelings, that kind of thing. You know what I mean?
This is the placement that Gen X is like, we don't have time for that.
Pretty much.
I have a migraine. I can't come to work. You take 2 aspirin.
Oh, yeah. I started my period. Well, I'll tell you exactly where the tampons and pads are. Get to work, I actually had a friend that's what she told her girls. She had a whole assortment of everything, and no matter what they said was wrong, she had an answer to it. I just love it.
So funny. My daughter was like, no, Mom, I have cramps. I can't walk the dog, Bo. He's like walking a billy goat. I get it. I said,
I met him.
Yeah, he's a billy goat. It's not an easy job. So I'm like, okay, you have cramps. You can't walk the dog. So this is what I want you to do. And I got the vacuum. Push this thing back and forth. You can do that. Doesn't take any ab work at all. It's all arm work.
Yes.
Sounds so mean and nasty, Connie.
We're not, y'all. We've been there. But anyway.
Hopefully, people, this is not your first rodeo with us, and you know our personalities by now.
Exactly. Also a place, Meredith, where they may overspend on their family.
Yeah.
And also emotional spending can come, I think, from having this placement.
Yeah, this is like my friend. She married this man, and from their cultural background was whatever money you earn, you give to your family. And we went to the ATM because we were going out that night, and her bank account had been drained, and she was like, "Oh gosh, I think my mother-in-law took all my money." I was like, "What?
What?"
Yeah, she said, "Yeah, I give them my debit card so they can take money when they need it." Okay, isn't that your money? She goes, "No, we have to take care of, my husband's family too." Who made that rule up? That sucks.
Yeah.
And that was their cultural background. And she did that for years. So I think you're right, that to be really real about it, like there's deep financial responsibility if you have that Cancer there. And there's also shame and guilt, right? If you don't have enough resources.
Oh, absolutely. And that's part of it. And then you get on the emotional spiral and you might overspend, oversave, be a hoarder.
Mm-hmm.
To me, this is kind of the hoarding placement. Only because I think that this placement gets so sentimental about everything. Oh, Meredith, thank you for sending me this little note. And I'm going to keep it forever. Do you know, I'm not making fun of anybody, but really, they are very sentimental. If somebody gives them something, they don't want to get rid of it.
And that little note, it's like you have a plan for it. Like, oh, I'm going to put this in the card and I'm going to make a scrapbook. And then those things never happen.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And so they end up saving everything. I think that this person has to absolutely fall in love with how they make money in order to find success. Their heart has to be fulfilled. This is going to be a very hard placement to do, to dig ditches for a living if you don't love digging ditches. Some people might.
Agreed. And I
Yeah.
think because we associate Cancer with nurturing, that nurturing others, not necessarily being a nurse, but any career where you're able to give yourself to others, maybe working with the elderly. It really depends on where your moon is, how
It
you're
really
going to handle
does.
it.
Yeah. And also like midwifery or, where
Yeah.
delivering babies or being a doula, women and
Yeah.
children. I also think this is a great placement for working with women and children and moms,
Oh, I
women.
agree. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
like
good.
even being like a stable, secure, safe place for troubled women or battered women. When I was in college, I worked at this place called the Chrysalis Shelter. I had to do volunteer hours for a class, and I worked at this place called the Chrysalis Shelter. It was a domestic shelter for abused women.
Yeah.
And I was young. I was only 19. I could not believe
The stories.
yes. And I could not believe how few resources and safe places there are for women who suffer like that. And so many women suffer in silence. So I could see this being a domestic shelter, a safe refuge, like how you talked about this is a nurturing placement, an animal shelter or
Oh, yeah.
homeless
Oh,
shelter.
what if they had their moon in the sixth house? That would be so beautiful because it rules small animals to actually be an animal, to run an animal shelter or something. Or the fifth house, the children. I mean, we could go on, but I see exactly where you're going with that.
If you do have Cancer here, you're probably Gemini rising and you
Yeah.
probably are a good communicator. You're probably really smart and you probably have a big heart with this placement. And it's your goal to figure out what lights up your heart to earn your money, you're going to find your self-worth through your heart, through loving others well. Okay. Should we talk about Leo? Should we change the tune?
And let's change the tune.
Okay. Well, I think Leo here is very interesting. First of all, you guys, you're learning something with these patterns and you're starting to think about the bigger picture just by learning about the second house. Because when you learn about the second house, you're learning that the sign that comes before is going to be the rising sign. So this is a very easy assignment to think about not only the second house, but because you know the second house, you pretty much know what the first house is going to be. So you know what the rising sign is. And the rising sign is really the boss. It's the front door of this chart. So this is really interesting. When you have Leo here, it just sounds so yippee yahoo, right? But you have Cancer rising. And so this is a weird combination because your rising sign is a little bit more quiet and muted, but this house is loud and boom. And your sun sign will now rule the second house if you have this on the cusp of the second house. So your sun sign is really, really important. It's going to show you if you're going to be loud and proud or if you're going to be more subdued and internal, like your rising sign suggests. So this one's really important. Not all Leos are flamboyant because a lot of Leos have big Cancerian placements in their Mercury or their Venus.
Very true.
Yeah, in Cancer. And so if you're one of these Leos where you're like, Meredith, I do not understand all your razzle dazzle talk about the Shakespearean play. Yeah, about Leo. Go look and see if you have your Leo planets go look and see about your whole chart. Are you Cancer rising? Are you Scorpio rising? Do you have fourth house, eighth house? Anyways, this is just an invitation to think about the placement of the rising sign. So this rising sign is Cancer. I think these people are going to find great value though in their boldness. So getting kind of a bold, cultivating your self-worth is absolutely critical to having Leo in the second house and being a Cancer rising. So you're probably going to be a person who wants to earn their money in warm environments, warm, big, generous environments. I'm thinking of you could own a creative upscale restaurant. I say upscale because Leo likes being proud and bold and big.
They want to be recognized too.
Yeah. Thank you, Connie. So I was thinking of like, you could be working as the hostess in the New York City, fancy restaurant. That's like, did you see that Saturday Night Live from like 20 years ago? What's your name? You're not on our list. My man? Nope. I am the manager. You want to talk to the manager? I am the manager. Who do you know? Who do you know? Oh, Mr. Gucci. Okay, we can let you in. You know, they kind of get value from knowing people in powerful positions too.
I can't believe you said that because I actually wrote in my notes spending to impress.
Yes, exactly. I think these people have had early tapes of building their ego or building their worth around being massively successful. Like it's imperative to be successful. It is imperative to be a person who is regarded as famous or successful or not ordinary. The last thing in the world a second house Leo wants to be is ordinary. And if they're just an average 5, 1 to 10, they're just an average 5. This is very, very painful. And I think they run on a fear. You know, I was talking about the prepper fear. This is the ordinary person fear.
But, you know, if they had Neptune in this house, or let's just say their sun is in the 5th house, even maybe great actors, again, using your voice.
They develop charisma really, really early. And they develop charisma, creativity, style. And so I have quite a few people in my life with Cancer rising. Okay, I know somebody who has this placement. It's very, very interesting because they are a shopaholic, but they're not just a shopaholic. They invited me to go shopping with them. And I said, absolutely. And she was like, let's go shopping for your wedding and let's find all your wedding outfits. And I was like, okay, are we going to go to Target? Where are we going to go? Like, where are we going? I got Target. I got Athleta. Where are we going to go?
You're at Nordstrom's.
Yeah, she took me to Nordstrom and she took me to the fancy part of Nordstrom. And then she took me to she's like, this would be gorgeous on you. And I'm like, oh, I love that. That's so gorgeous. Let me try that on. And I just tried it on. And then she goes, you've got to get that. I look at the price tag. The little jacket's like $850. I'm like, what? She goes, I'm like, where would I ever wear this? She goes, you'd wear that to the beach. You'd get snow cones in that. I'm like, for $850, I'm getting snow cones in that? So this is like shopping with razzle dazzle intentions. Like, Meredith, do you know who you are? I'm like, yeah, this is one thing about me, Connie. Maybe we'll talk about it when we get to my placement. I have a great frugality about me. I don't wear designer labels. If I'm wearing a designer label, somebody bought it for me.
Oh my gosh, I just remembered the story about the belt.
Yeah. So Joe got this award at work and he got a $500 or $750 credit for Louis Vuitton. And he bought me with that money, he bought me a Louis Vuitton belt. And I'm like, no, I cannot wear that. I am not wearing that. I am not wearing that. And he's like, you have to, you look so cool in it. So I wear it because I love him and it was a reward for his work. But I find that there's a lot of status inside clothing and money and cars, and there's a self-worth. So the car is not just I drive a Porsche. The car is a statement that says I am worth driving a Porsche. And I created my own worth to drive a Porsche. So I want you to see that I drive a Porsche, right? Yeah. It's all tied to this self-worth. And they feel valuable when their success is seen. Now I'm making this sound obnoxious and it doesn't have to be obnoxious, but I'm making it seem obnoxious. When this is healthy, it can be really generous and it can be, they take care of everybody and they throw the lavish party and you have a blast and they want to do bottle service up in the rooftop and pop the cork and champagne goes everywhere. And this is your fun friend who actually never makes you go Dutch or split the bill. They'll pick up the tab. Like everybody should know a Leo in the second house friend person. The person who went shopping, you know, the Nordstrom shopping in the fancy section of Nordstrom, she's also very, very generous. So like, you know how people will buy you roses at the grocery store and bring home grocery store roses? Oh my God, this friend, no. She buys like Chanel floral birthday baskets for you. And I'm like, oh my God, you do feel as the recipient of the second house Leo person, like I can never reciprocate to this degree. There is a little, and they like it that way. They like it because they like being on top with success and affluence and charisma and security and proud of it. So if you have a second house Leo friend, you really need to call them up and tell them, you know, you're extraordinary. You give the best. If you want more gifts, you need to tell them they give the best gifts.
I just think that's so funny because I always say that Venus and Leo always gives the best gifts. But
Yeah, they do. Venus moons give good gifts too.
yeah,
And I think these people really want their success, their status, their value to be visible, to be celebrated, to become in a dignified way, wanted and acknowledged. They really want you to see them as successful people. So one thing that I'll say with Cancer rising, with Leo in the second house, these people usually do not get vulnerable. They will not show you their tears. They have a lot of pride because success comes from looking good too. I have to look the part now. I have to look the part of a successful person, whatever that is. And the sad thing is that they get their self-worth from all of that externalized. So let's just talk about when this is healthy. When this is healthy, this person is such a radiant light who now their success comes from letting that light out to inspire other people and to empower and lift up and share their light, right, with others to lift up the whole world, maybe through song, maybe through dance, maybe through creating a Broadway show, but to like extend their creative pursuits into others, helping others find their value. That's when this operates in a gorgeous, gorgeous way. But it usually starts out with really chasing the gold bars, the diamonds. These are the people that are like, yep, got engaged. See my 7 carat, 7 carat. And by the way, if you're going to put a ring on it, and you better look at their chart. If they have a Leo in the second house, they want to pay.
right.
Unless they are really, really healthy, probably a little bit older, probably tired of having chased the material scene, because the material scene the money never, ever genuinely creates the self-worth. It creates a phony self-worth. And so Leo struggles with finding the authentic self, but they will never find the authentic self inside money ever. So they're set up to chase this thing that is never going to actually fulfill them. The big rock on the finger is not going to truly fulfill them. It's not truly going to give them the security that they want. Like this reminds me, I don't know, I haven't done Lauren Sanchez's chart or Jeff Bezos. I haven't looked at their charts, but this reminds me of their wedding. They're not 40,000, they're
million.
Yeah, 40 million. Thank you. $40 million wedding where they literally rented Venice. They rented Venice. Just put that in your head. Let that like wobble around like 2 marbles in your head and a tin can. Like my brain can't even connect the dots on that, like renting an entire city. And by the way, those Venetians, some of those people are like 95 years old, walking with a cane, living there their whole lives.
Oh,
and they were all displaced. $40 million wedding. Did you see Greenpeace went out in St. Mark's Square and said, "You're not welcome here, Jeff and Laura"?
Oh my God.
I just want to say a couple more kind things about this place. This placement is really, really strong with leadership. These people will become the leader. They oftentimes can lead the charge, lead the team, be the CFO. They have like this magnetic talent to attract powerful people to work with them, work for them. And there is a deep, deep, deep pride in a person's accomplishments. Big pride when the person does not need the recognition, when they can write the check, to support the symphony or the arts. Remember, this is the House of the Arts, or, the Kennedy Center, and they can be anonymous. That's when this person has truly arrived.
I would agree.
And they don't need the library in their name. They don't need the memorial. They don't need the statue. They don't need to be on Mount Rushmore.
Yeah.
I want you to etch my face into Mount Rushmore, Connie.
Absolutely, Meredith. I will do that immediately.
We need a woman up there. Okay. You go for it.
Speaking of Leo, going to look at Leo rising, which is usually Virgo on the second house cusp. So really, we're looking at Virgo here, even if you're not Leo rising. But this is a place where these people are resourceful. Usually they're very frugal. They're particular about how they handle their money. They really think about their ruled by Mercury, this placement's ruled by Mercury, how they're going to handle their resources. Now, they're diligent. Usually they're hardworking. But one thing that I find interesting is that I think this placement spends a lot of money on health and wellness, because Virgo,
like a whole vitamin cabinet, like Oh,
Yeah.
I have met
Imagine
for
why
that.
I said that, Meredith. But really, I do. I think that health and wellness is really important to the sign of Virgo anyway. So if it's ruling this cusp, they may not only work in health and wellness, they might own the spa, they may work in the spa, they may be a nurse, a doctor, a massage therapist, all of those things. It kind of depends on where your Mercury is, but they probably
Also, Connie, also they could just have the yoga membership, the gym membership, the personal trainer, the Zumba membership,
you're right.
the bar membership,
I do think they invest in health and wellness. That is one of the places that they prefer to spend what they earn because, again, they're particular about what they spend their money on. There really is a frugality about having Virgo here, which is interesting when you put that with Leo rising, because it's like you would think that they would be more flamboyant when actually it's not that way at all. And it's not that they're not givers, because they are. They can be super generous, but they're frugal about it. If they're going to be generous, they plan for it. They've already planned, I'm going to spend money on this today. If they're taking their employees to lunch or to dinner, they've planned it. They know where that money's coming from and how they're going to spend it. So
Connie, yeah, I think that's right. I also think that these people can find their self-worth a little bit later in life. They can be doubtful around if they even have any self-worth. The reason why I say that, and everybody, if you have this placement, really go watch my Virgo rising. Yeah, I talk about like the insecurities that live inside of Virgo and then place them in this house of self-worth. So yeah, my Virgo rising, and because I really go into like the suffering of Virgo. And then when you put Virgo on the cusp of the house of self-worth, your ego is kind of small. Now you're Leo rising. So you're going to fake it till you make it. And you're going to look like you are Robin Williams. But think about Robin Williams. He didn't have this placement, but this is just a great example of how he had this giant persona. Nobody knew anything was wrong. And then, right. But there was deep self-doubt inside of him. That is like this placement. So there's this big giant mask with that Leo rising, but what am I really good at? What is my real worth? And they usually work harder than they get paid. I always say about Virgo, you're going to work 80 hours and you're going to get paid for 60.
Yeah.
You're going to get overworked and underpaid. And I do think this is also the workaholic placement.
Yeah, that in Capricorn, I would agree with that. But I think they are very self-critical, and it takes a long time possibly for them to really feel good about themselves, how they're earning money, their career, what they're actually doing with their resources. But on the other hand, they can be so organized with it all. But that's the material part of it. The self-worth part of it maybe is where they might spend more money on health and wellness. So they'll feel better.
And exactly, Connie, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but and self-help, like those vitamins and the gym membership also goes into, the Tony Robbins $10,000 class, and they can get duped into scams around self-improvement.
Yeah.
Like Connie, I think sometimes with this placement, this person can get scammed into like a lot of pyramid systems and structures.
Yeah. And this really just came to me, but this could also be the placement. And it even makes sense with Leo rising where there might be an eating disorder because you have, maybe body dysmorphia. Is that what it's called? And, you just feel like you can't be skinny enough or fit enough, or, you don't look the way. I think self-image has a lot to do with this because Virgo can be so critical of themselves.
Absolutely. And they usually don't know how beautiful they really are. They might fake it. They might be wearing a character face with that Leo rising. I think that is really, really good. And I talk a lot about that in my Virgo rising video. Honestly, with this Virgo placement here, the person probably has a long journey into true, deep self-acceptance. And when they can accept their flaws, when they can accept and maybe they can see actually the virtue inside their flaws, that's when they can transform that self-worth. I just saw on TikTok this woman whose husband or boyfriend set her on fire in some way. I don't know, like set her car on fire, something on fire. And she has all these third-degree burns. And she's actually a very famous TikToker. I'm so sorry I don't know her name. But anyways, what she does is she tells her stories while she puts on makeup. And and her face is completely disfigured. So she starts with no makeup. It's shell-shocking. It's hard to look at. And then she puts on her makeup and she literally transforms. This is a good example of like the journey for Virgo in the second house. Finding your beauty in this unusual way when you could just sit in the criticalness of how ugly I am, but learning to transform it into something that is so helpful to others, that makes others grow compassion. Libra in the second. Okay. I love that I got Libra in the second. I think this is double beauty. Honestly, I do. I think if you have planets in the second house, especially benefic ones, Sun, Moon, Venus, Jupiter, you're probably a very beautiful person. And then I think if you've just got Libra here in Taurus's natural house. So if you have Libra in the second house, there is probably an attachment to beauty. But I want to say, I think you get your real worth, not from beauty. It's kind of like that Leo thing where you can chase beauty all your life and it never really truly fulfills you. You really can't get permanent self-worth from being beautiful.
And this is Virgo rising. Yeah.
And so we chase beauty and we chase this concept of beauty, whatever that is, but beauty expires. Beauty comes from within. It comes from the light within you. It does not come from truly the outside. Truly beautiful people have it on the inside. And so that is what Libra's journey is. And so it's funny how we get told where our worth is going to come from. You need to be smart. You need to be pretty. You need to be successful. You need to be fun, whatever it is. And then we try to be that thing. And in this case, this person probably got a lot of blessings, a lot of virtues, a lot of compliments around how beautiful they are, how pretty or how refined or their grace or their elegance. And what's funny is I think some of that's true, but the truth about this is Libra is the cerebral side of beauty. So Taurus is the actual, I think, physical body born into beauty, and Libra can bring the personality.
Libra is so charming is what I'm thinking.
Yeah. Libra uses its words, right? To create beauty, peace, love, harmony, to create a beautiful moment. Libra will write the poetry that Taurus actually did, like the earth. Like I walked through the tall grass. Taurus walked through the tall grass and Libra is writing about walking through the tall grass. Both are beautiful. But what I'm just saying is Libra values beauty, balance, fairness, relationships. And when it occupies the second house, their material life is tied to aesthetics in some way, or refinement, or grace, or diplomacy, or relationships, or partnership. And they're usually quite charming. They have an artistic skill set usually. There's a social grace here. This is the socialite aspect too, where you're creating self-worth also by your relationships and who you know, your partnerships. There's money through relationships with this particular placement. Like you might be married to a wealthy partner, or you might have inherited your family's business in some way, because money can come through very easily through partnerships. I think though that these people really struggle when they have to earn their money through conflict. Like they do not usually, they want a job. I don't want to say easy, but something that has class, taste, peacefulness.
Can I argue with that?
Yeah, argue with that. Please do. They could be a good attorney too, though, right?
That's what I was going to say. This placement could be a good attorney, judge, because fairness is so important.
I like your disagreements because it gets me kind of out of my narrow mind and a little bit bigger. There is a part of these people that don't want to just be right. They do want to be like, if they are going to be an attorney, yes, fair and balanced. Well, and they are Virgo rising. I think you're right. This would be a great attorney placement. We might be seeking justice too.
Absolutely.
But this could also be the hairdresser. This could also be somebody who works, within the arts. Libra is really interesting because I think at the end of the day, if others value them, you have to remember this is the partnership sign. If others value me, then I am of value. I am only of value to the degree that others want me, that others want my talent.
Wow.
So yeah, Libra is kind of twisted that way in a sense. It's almost like, what is my marketability? Am I marketable?
Yeah.
They want to be wanted in a different way than Leo. But I do think you're right. Fairness, beauty, relationships are the central themes around their careers and their work or their job. I would say that they also probably have an elegance, like they will spend their money on things that refine or enhance or make things better, the
Yeah.
self-improvement as well, because that Virgo rising, and then you have Libra here.
Or they spend it on their partner.
Yeah, they would spend it on their partner too. I think if you have Libra here, you really have a distaste for selfish, greedy people,
Yeah.
that people just go at it alone. Like they really see themselves in partnership with, like, this is probably the person who would want to have a shared or joint bank account with their spouse, not
Yeah.
independent bank accounts. I'm just thinking they like the ebb and flow of the sharing of resources.
Yeah.
I think they like mutual appreciation, we both contribute, we both share. I think you're right though, Connie, that they could be over accommodators, with their money, with their finances, and with their resources. They have a tendency, they could give everything away too in order to keep the harmony. And I think this can be the great enabler if they're not very healthy, where they can enable their child or the person in need. If I just pay for things, it makes our life easier. Then we don't have to look at the conflict, and hard for them to say no to people in need. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I do, because I think this placement, especially if they're Virgo rising as well, would go into debt to please their partner or to make relationships more harmonious.
If I got to play God and just be the little puppet master, I would say you're going to learn the harp, and you're going to play the harp for money, and you're going to bring harp peace to the world.
Right? Yeah. I love it.
Mommy, I don't know what I'm going to be in the world. Well, you have Libra on the second house cusp. You're going to learn to play that harp.
I love the harp. That's beautiful.
I know. I wanted to rent a harpist for my wedding, but it was a little bit out of the budget. But I really wanted the harpist, and I wanted her to dress like a little fairy, and I wanted her to be a fairy harpist. And
oh, I love it.
that didn't work out. We just played it off Spotify instead.
That works just as well.
Okay, your turn. Right. Dun, dun, dun.
Okay, where
Scorpio
Libra on the second house cusp probably would want a shared bank account. Scorpio on the second house cusp, which is typically Libra rising, not always, but most of the time, they would not want a shared bank account because they have a hard time trusting other people with their investments and their money. And they can be quite secretive about their spending and their financial habits as well. They can be very...
Connie, should I go look at my husband's savings account?
Yeah, because he's probably really loaded and he hadn't told you yet.
No. He wanted to make sure I married him for love.
Yes. I love it. Okay, so, but this placement, really, they do value control and power, but they want control and power over their own resources. And I've also, I wrote this down. I think it's interesting that a lot of times this may even be a little similar to having Pluto in the second house, that they might build a fortune because Scorpio is usually good with investments. They will do all of the backstory work in order to make an investment work. They know how to build a fortune, but damn it, they know how to lose it too. So that's the transformative power of Scorpio on the second house cusp, that this might be the person that has been a millionaire and filed bankruptcy and done it all within 10 years, because it's that transformative power. So you look for Pluto, you look for Mars, the secondary ruler, but they can be even a little bit obsessive about security, about having that stability and security. Remember, this is the opposite of Taurus. So they can be possessive of their material possessions and obsessive about having enough. And I make it sound like this is a bad placement, but not really, because they're great with investing. They're great at psychology. They're great at things that take a lot of intense mind power. And I'm not talking about Mercury power, but really intensely getting into something like investigating. The detective could definitely make their money right here. Or somebody that's great at science, the nuclear physicist, something like that, because wow, this place would be a great nuclear physicist, wouldn't they, Meredith?
Yeah.
I mean,
And
that would be really good.
I think you're kind of describing somebody. So I have two of these people in my life, but I think you're describing some like a placement that has so much endurance, like the nuclear physicist, the researcher, there's like, these people need to figure out what their passion is and do their passion for a living so they can throw all of their high wattage, high voltage energy into like get lost in their work. That would be when this house is functioning really, really well, like the intensity where you lose yourself in the passion of your work.
Where you never look at the clock.
Yes.
That kind of person. And think about it, Meredith, because Mars was the ruler until Pluto was discovered. You think about Mars belonging to Aries, and of course it does. Scorpio has that same kind of intensity too, where they're going to do it. They're going to stay with it. They're going to do it.
And they want a job that they can kind of get obsessed with. Like I almost think like a financial day trader or working on Wall Street, buy high, sell low.
Yeah.
Researching all the, the money's going to drop. I don't even know how to talk the language.
I don't either.
Do we have any day traders listening? Do you have any day traders?
Oh, I would love to hear about their stories.
Right.
But I think these people are naturals with the stock market and investments because they'll do the research. They will actually take the time to do all the research to do it. But one of my notes says, and I think this is funny, and you better go check Joe's accounts because I think they can be really secretive about their finances. Well, maybe not with their partner, but
I'll tell you for sure, this makes a phenomenal like fantasy football, fantasy baseball winner at life.
Oh,
like learning all the stats and the players and the chess game and then, but it only works if you put money on it.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
If you don't put money on it, Joe says, then it doesn't make the bet worth anything and it's no fun at all.
I agree 100%. And I don't have this placement, but I so agree with him because they will take risk. That's where the transformation comes in from the plutonium part of it, because they'll take the risk and sometimes they lose it all, but usually they have the tenacity to build it back.
Yeah.
It's an interesting placement, this one is. And they may not have all the resources they want until they're a little older. It may come later in life. But I actually like this placement.
Is this the person who takes a life insurance policy out on you?
Probably.
Like, if you die, I get $5 million. And then do they do the plotting? Of serving you the apple pie?
Probably so, because this is also a person that might be obsessed with the occult or all things Scorpio, Pluto. So, Meredith, I don't know, maybe.
I drank this green drink that I was served last night, but I'm alive today. Yeah.
Well, if it were cyanide, you'd be dead by now. So,
okay, I'm safe. I do think, though, that this could be the life insurance policy, the insurance policy, the person who, wants to get their roof inspected. And there's a high placement on being secure, too.
Yeah.
Being safety and security. Yeah.
I think they worry a lot if they're not financially secure.
Yeah.
But there's a big tendency for this placement to worry, just obsessed. Yeah.
I think you are right. Okay, let's talk about Sagittarius in the second house. This is somebody who's like the explorer, like their self-worth is actually in being able probably to acquire wealth, to have freedom, to have enough money where they're not like literally ball and chain to a desk. oh my God, these people might die. This is like the tour guide making their money, being the tour guide, but you got to go look and see where Jupiter is. And also this is Scorpio rising. So this is a very interesting placement. I think that this person really values freedom more than money, safety, security, double locks on the door.
I think you're right.
Yeah, they can't be bothered with that. And money is a means to like expanding their life or broadening their horizons, not to anchor it and hunker down, but to discover and explore. There might be, even though they're Scorpio rising, so you have to blend these two. But I would also say they might earn their money through knowledge, teaching, travel, teaching abroad, philosophy, or education or publishing or even spirituality, like developing a belief system and then selling that belief system, maybe being a preacher, international work, global work. And I also think that this is freewheeling, free spending and also spontaneous spending. You could be like, hey, I never thought about getting a boat. Let's get a boat. We can go live on the boat if we want to live on the boat. But I think these people are really allergic to the 9 to 5 grind, like sitting in front of a computer all day. Yeah, it's just like,
I think they value knowledge and intelligence too, because they want more and more,
And don't you think this is a very intellectual placement? So these people have like Scorpio rising, and then they get their value and their self-worth for being intellectual, having studied cultures, feeling smart, feeling like their vision and their belief system. And they also have, I think, a lot of self-worth, how their beliefs align with the world. So the belief system, the belief system that they are indoctrinated into or truly believe in is where they get their self-worth. So they could be gullible or susceptible to cult leaders or spiritual leaders that they then follow, that then dictate how much they're worth. So that's kind of a downfall right there.
Yeah.
But I do think that they prefer experiences over stability. And I also think that there's an optimism, almost a false optimism, where everything will work out. One of my very best friends, she lives in very, very close to the edge of life. And I'm like, what are you going to do when you run out of money? Like all the money in the world could fit all her money in the world could fit into a tiny little shoebox that she puts underneath her bed. She literally lives like this. She has her whole life. She's 60 now. And she says to me, she's like, oh God, I'll just go walk more. I'll go walk a few more dogs. It's okay. I'm like, what? Oh my God. You're like 2 dog walks away from not having dinner tonight. But oh my gosh. But I do think there is also a desire to have money to travel, a desire to have experiences. This is the person who's like, I want to buy you an experience as a gift. I want to take you to Ireland with me. And I also will say when Sagittarius in the second house has really arrived, it's when they truly feel the abundance of life. Like, I don't need much. This is kind of simplicity too. Like, hey, I got my tiny house off the grid. I grow my own tomatoes. I'm fine. I shower down at the boat launch. I'm fine. There's something about just the gypsy, the hippie, the free spirited soul a little bit. Now, it depends how tightly ruled that Scorpio rising is. But if that Scorpio rising is not so loud and prominent, and this second house Sag can really express itself underneath the hot molten lava, if you will, of the Scorpio. If the Scorpio doesn't have this pinned in too hard, I just think that this can be very unusually liberating.
Yeah.
Like the person who has Virgo here is going, how can you live so free? We have financial things to worry about, right? And the Sag is like, I don't want to put a budget together. I got 50 bucks in my pocket and it's burning a hole and I want to go spend it. Like there's a restlessness and they can jump from one thing to another. But I really think that there's a long-term value around their spirituality. Like where they're really going to find self-worth is when they develop spiritual wealth within themselves. Like they come to a point in their life where money really does not matter. It is not how they get their self-worth. It's different than the other two fire signs, Leo and Aries, where they really want to be the best on top, successful. This is where that mutability is just a little bit more of, I think, the wanderer, you know.
Yeah, the gypsy.
I think so. I mean, I do think they do like big things and gregarious parties and fun, and the arts would be really like global arts would be really fun. Like if you go to the ballet, you want to see the Russian ballet
Yeah,
or the Italian, you know, masquerade, like that. Like there's this desire to put money, my money, and I get my self-worth out of experience
yeah,
rather than things. I think this could really be the traveling writer, you know, the traveling writer who's writing. This is like Rick Steves. Really, I wonder if Rick Steves has this, where he reviews the restaurants and the hotels and all the places to go and puts it in the, you know, the Hitchhiker's Guide to Europe.
yeah.
Yeah.
I love it.
Or the spiritual, they're the spiritual mentor, or they're the professor that's teaching.
I was going to say the professor. Yeah.
Yeah, the digital nomad, where they can work from anywhere, have laptop, will travel, you know? What do you mean the office? I'm not going to the office. This is my office. This is my office, you know? Yeah. Did my job today. Yeah.
Capricorn on the second house cusp. So we're looking typically at Sagittarius rising. This is a sign that truly values long-term wealth. And not only that, they're willing to work hard for it. They really are. They are usually practical. They value possessions, maybe a little too much sometimes. They can be a little materialistic, but I think more than anything, they value the ability to take care of their family, to take care of their home, to take care of the people around them. You know, their achievements are valued to them. What they earn, what they achieve, that all feels good to this placement. That is very important to them. That's where they find their safety. Do I have long-term security? Is everything working out? Which means usually they're not very good at relaxing, living in the moment, overachievers, the workaholic, sort of like having Virgo here. Their security lies in what they have. And I do think a lot of that has to do with their family, but also it has to do with status, because Capricorn rules in the natural zodiac, the 10th house. And this has to do with our public status in the world. And I think they really care about that, maybe too much sometimes. So they value their accomplishments and their achievements. And I think they really base their own self-worth on what they make in their career and how much money they have, which is a little sad, but they're usually pretty good at making money because they're going to work hard for it. And this is the architects of the world, the contractors, you know, they may work in law or government. They're good at being the CEO, of the manager, the one that takes charge of everything. So as long as they have the material resources, I think they're pretty happy. What's sad though is they don't relax and enjoy what they have made and what they've worked hard for.
That's really beautiful. Yeah, they're once they earn that money, then they're looking for the next to earn,
Yeah.
and the next. Yeah, and so it's an endless cycle of more. But I think they get their self-worth actually from becoming not just a CEO or a leader, but truly building something that can influence, help, pave a way or a path for others to depend on. Meaning to create something that becomes renowned in the world, that is helpful to others, like a legacy, you know, a name
That's a
for
great
them.
word.
Yeah,
a legacy.
they want to create a name for themselves too in some way, earn money in a way where they're not just a cog in the wheel in the back office. That would be just awful.
Yeah.
I kind of can think of like having their own label on something,
Yeah.
like the Kate Spade handbag. That Kate Spade, I still buy her handbags because that is one label that I will buy, but I can we have an outlet store. We do. And I always buy the last season that's no longer in style, but it's like Kate Spade never goes out of style. So it's funny. But, her story is so heartbreaking. I would love to do her chart, actually. I would actually love to do her chart, but something like that's very Capricorn, where my name, Kate Spade, is on every handbag, where there's a little bit of a renowned. I'm known for wine. I'm known for whiskey. I'm known for handbags. It could even be deeper than that. It doesn't have to be superficial. It could be, but there is, I think Capricorns, they figure out their self-worth, don't you? Through working diligently, devoting their life to their craft, their work, to growing, building something of great value. And this is like one of the least lazy positions. This is such a hard driving generator, having Capricorn here.
Yeah.
It exhausts me to even think about it because
they're the human doing rather than the human being.
Exactly. And they're always trying to produce, to go to the next rung, to the next, to the next, to the next. So I do think they're not the person who is necessarily teaching the course in self-improvement, but self-improvement, doing more, doing better, having more, gaining is the name of their engine inside.
Yeah.
And so I think these people were taught at a very young age to produce.
Yeah. And then hard
go get a job.
Means something.
Yeah. Do you think these people started getting paid for chores at a very young age?
Yeah, I do actually, or paid for their grades. You bring home A's, I'll give you $5 for every A.
Really? That's terrible. You're going to buy my intelligence? Obviously, I don't have this position.
I mean, it's true that I think they learned very early on that money can buy what you want, what you need. If you work hard for it and get the money, then yeah.
If you get the money, you get everything.
Something like that. But really and truly, Saturn is a planet of longevity, and long term really means something to this placement. So they're going to work hard to have something as they age. And it's like you said, also for their family, for who they love.
Do you think these people, they get the job and they do that for 30 years? They get the 30-year mortgage. They get their car and they pay it off. They have the patience to do all that. They're not in the car that has the lease and they get the new car every year.
I do. I think they drive the car till the wheels fall off and it doesn't hold its value anymore. Then they finally get something new. Yeah.
Yeah. Or they buy the house and we have to stay in the house because it's appreciating in value. I don't want to rent. I want to purchase a house rather than a house.
They like to buy things as that hold their value. Like if they're going to buy something, they want to buy something with quality that's going to last. So they're not the type that are, and no offense to anybody that shops at Dollar Tree or Dollar General, but that usually they shop somewhere where they're going to get something of a little more value, but it lasts a lot longer and they don't have to buy it again.
Yeah. So they're not hoarders.
No, I don't think this placement is a hoarding placement.
Yeah. It's like, I get it. Like they buy the refrigerator that also they can see that their future self will grow into.
Yeah. They buy things that have a lasting value. And I found this with Venus and Capricorn as well, and that kind of fits because Venus rules the second house, that they'd rather buy something that might be a little more expensive because it'll last longer rather than buy 65 cheap pairs of jeans. They go ahead and buy one pair that is going to last forever. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I think they want to be important. Like they get their self-worth from
status.
Yeah. Right. Like you mentioned. And if they just end up being, I don't know, replaceable or redundant, I think that really hurts. I
Yeah.
think that is just devastating and absolutely crushing. This could be even the brain surgeon, to tell you the truth. Like, they come from a family of doctors. And so, how am I going to be a doctor better? Well, I'm going to study, glioblastoma. I'm going to cure glioblastoma tumors, like doing
Yeah.
better than even where they came from. I, I do
That
think,
makes sense.
yeah, I do think these people have pressure as children to work harder than even your parents did. I don't know if that's possible, but I'm just saying that there is a conscientiousness of where do I fit within this system.
Yeah.
Okay, let's talk about Aquarius, because
Yeah.
Aquarius is like, woo, I'm getting all the fun
You
crazy.
are, Meredith. How did you work that out,
I
girl?
don't know. It's just bouncing back to me. Like, these are like the crypto kings. I think the Aquarius here is like, sure, let's try crypto. It might work. I'm sure there's a lot of people listening who actually are investing in crypto, but this is the person who is willing to be innovative and different and spend their money on unique possibilities. The startup company that, like, you're working out of your garage, Bill Gates, the startup company working out of your garage to make it something. There was this podcast, God, I forget what it's called. It's called Serial. And this woman was an investigative researcher. It was the number one podcast in the country about 4 or 5 years ago during COVID. And it was about Amir, and this man, he's in jail, and I think he's released now, who was accused of killing his girlfriend at high school. And anyways, he was jailed and then he was released. Anyways, this podcast is about the story of his life and about the crime that he was accused of. Anyways, the long story short, she literally was doing this podcast in her garage. She won the Peabody Award. Look for it on Apple Podcasts. It's called Serial, not like the kind that you eat, but like spelled with an S, like a series. But what I was going to say is that she won a Grammy for this. She won a Peabody Award. She won all these awards. She made a name for herself. She was so famous. She innovated it. She picked her story. This is so, at the time, this podcast, this was really interesting. It was just massively, massively innovative. She could have done anything with her life. She said at the end of this series, Serial, she was so exhausted. Yeah, she's like, no, I did it. I conquered it. That's very Aquarian. Like, I'm on a mission. I'm doing something super unique. I just invented and created this really cool thing, and it ended. It came to an end. Like, there's not a big attachment to, it's the complete antithesis to what we were saying about Capricorn, where you're trying to build a legacy and you're trying to grow something into its greatness and then keep it nurtured and then maybe sell that to a person who would also like to nurture your same thing. This is like, I think Aquarius here, they can really do innovative projects and also let them go and not really attach to the money, but attach to the mission instead. These people are mission oriented, don't you think?
I do.
And I think they get their value from having sort of an innovative, unique vision. I also think this could truly be earning your money as an astrologer.
Yes.
This is the astrologer. So if you guys have this, think about doing astrology professionally.
I like that.
And you guys, I want to ask you, if you're still listening, please press the like button, plus press the subscribe button. Don't lose us, especially if you've only just found us. Over 60% of the people that watch our videos on this channel are not subscribed. And it's free to subscribe, and it allows more people to understand deeper astrology at that soul level, hence soul navigation. And so we would love for you to share our videos with people in your life that you love, that would also have an interest. So if you have this placement, Aquarius in the second house, you must really, really, really love astrology. And maybe you're even considering being an astrologer. So stay in touch with us. I'm going to launch our school coming up right around the corner in like January 2026. Come learn with us in person. And you can also go to Shop Soul Navigation and you can get your starter package if you don't already have it. And with that, you get your gorgeous natal chart, and then you get a whole report on all of your placements, all the house placements, where all the planets are in your chart. And if you have that, then I recommend that you get your unique chart ruler's report, and that will take you through all the houses in your chart, and you can look at the rulers of those houses. And it's just looking at astrology like from a completely new perspective. And it is just so exciting, so riveting. So if you have this placement, I know you are interested in human design, in tarot, in astrology, in forward thinking, innovative methodologies. You're intellectually driven. And so I think you also get your self-worth from not possessions, but ideas. Sharing ideas, understanding your own intellect, understanding the value of non-traditional modalities, non-traditional thinking, thinking outside of the box, being a revolutionary, creating revelations for other people. And your self-worth, I think, is also like a big resource that you have, is that you like to be unique, original, independent. You have a big impact on the collective too. So like working for a mass amount of people, not just doing a little job, just on this little piece of paper, but doing a job that can really influence the collective. I think this is a really, really, really cool placement. I also think this is the great humanitarian. Like this person can, yes, they get their value and their self-worth from being a little bit unconventional, but also they're the great humanitarian, either in their family, in their tribe, in their culture, in their neighborhood. They're the ones that maybe put the neighborhood block party on. I'm just saying, like, they're the ones that will create friendship and will create, when I say humanitarian, I just mean like the doing good for others position.
I think you're right.
Taking care of others. I think this is the non-materialistic heart. I think these people have a real non-materialistic heart, and they've learned to, in a way, they're kind of iconoclastic, where like money is the evil. Money is the root of all evil. Like money can ruin people.
I also think it's I can never say the word philanthropist. Please help me. Thank you.
Philanthropist.
That's it. My Southern tongue cannot say that word, but I know what it means.
The philanthropist. I want you to say it 3 times. Sally sold seashells at the seashore with the philanthropist.
Oh my God, as soon as we're done, I'll practice, Mira, I promise.
First, we're breaking out the gin and tonics, and then we're going to do the tongue
we're
twisters.
definitely breaking out the alcohol before I try to say that. But isn't this the placement where people, if they have it, it is very humanitarian. They do give it away. They really care about mankind, and that's part of their value, how the world around them is valued,
Absolutely. And I think this is really interesting, Connie, because I think their self-worth and their value and what they believe in comes from contributing to collective growth too.
Yes.
Like good for everybody, not just good for me. Like if I'm good, but you're not good, then we're not good.
Yeah, I agree.
So this is very, very interesting. I do think that they get a lot of their worth in being able to be free. So they need a job that gives them some sort of freedom. They cannot do a job that just is all consuming and takes everything that they've got, because they really, really value their freedoms, their freedom to speak, their freedom to think, their freedom to come and go. And I think that they probably resist traditional work structures or the hierarchical order of life.
Yeah.
And I also think that they learn to think outside of the box, be resourceful. Like you don't always have to go at it, through the template. You can break the template apart and go through the side door. And I also think that this is the least greedy sign. Now, I do think they get into trouble financially because there's erratic spending and there's an erratic relationship to what they invest in. And I did have a friend who had this placement and she wanted to invest in just only sustainable companies. By the way, this was like 20 years ago, before there were no investors that were dedicated to sustainability investing. And so she was on the cutting edge of this. And the funny thing is she kept losing money at the time. I think the markets now support that kind of thinking. But 20 years ago, nobody supported that kind of thinking. So she wanted to invest in companies that fished, consciously.
Yeah.
Right. And so no long troll lines or nets, no net. So basically she went broke and she lost her portfolio because the investments just didn't support it at the time. But this kind of thinking is is, and investing, these people are investing in future things probably that we haven't even thought of, and they could hit it big, but they could also go bankrupt too. Like, I think crypto is a great example, and there's numerous kinds of crypto, but this is I just think like they have to pick how to do it and do it exactly right and all of that. Something that's a little bit in the future, where not everybody, they're not going to follow the path of earning their money or their self-worth or their self-esteem or their relationship to money the way everybody else is doing it. They're going to have a very impactful and unconventional approach to their finances and into finding the truth about their own value. It's going to probably be unconventional and different, but these people are the least greedy and the most motivated by the vision, the innovative vision of their life. Connie, this was so much fun. Oh my God.
All right. You ready for Pisces?
Oh, yes. I'm ready for Pisces. Give it to me, girl.
I know you didn't forget Pisces, did you, girl?
Oh, no, I didn't.
This is typically Aquarius rising. And you can look at Neptune, and also the secondary ruler will be Jupiter in the chart. But this is one of the most intriguing placements for me because basically I don't think money itself matters that much to this placement, which kind of goes along. This is one of the first ones that the rising sign and the second house sign really seem to work together a little more, because I think they might even be the placement, excuse me, that depends on the universe or on spiritually getting their income, where they just trust that it'll be there. It's kind of like having Neptune in the second house, because I found this over and over again. Money will flow in and it flows out and it flows in and it flows out, and the person really doesn't care. Money itself does not give this person their self-worth. It really doesn't. Now, do they need money to live? Absolutely. But I think being compassionate, intuitive, being good to other people, being that dreamer, being able to kind of live their own internal dreams means a lot more to these people. And they may be really good at music and photography and the arts things. These are all very Pisces related things. I think it's really beautiful, but because if you have Pisces here on that second house that rules the throat, this may be somebody that sings like a bird, that they're just absolutely beautiful. And they can also make their living through healing or some kind of psychic means too, because I think they're very intuitive. So if there's ever a sign that earns their money intuitively, I think it's this placement, that they let their intuition guide them to the best job. And quite honestly, I think if it's not creative, it does not give them satisfaction, that they need to have something that means it reminds me of Aquarius a little bit. They have to have something that means something to them to actually work day to day.
Also, I think my niece has this placement, and I think one of the things that I see in this placement, and I see it in her playing out, is they really do not like a lot of conflict at work. Like if it's too much conflict, they won't even do the job. They are not. They are not built for a tyrannical boss, a tyrannical schedule. They're kind of healers.
Yes.
And they need to know that they have made a positive impact and a positive difference. And if they don't feel like they've made a positive impact or a positive difference, they can't do the job. And this is not corporate.
No. And I think their money can be a little unpredictable because of that Neptunian factor, that no boundaries, the flowing in and out. Meredith, I think they gain more self-worth knowing they helped a homeless person on the street rather than they earned $1,000 that day. I think that gives them more self-esteem.
I would totally agree with that. Totally agree with that. I think they would give their shirt off their back. I also think one thing they could do that's stressful. So like they don't want to work in the ugly work environment, right? But I think I think they could be phenomenal. I just got chills, like rescuers.
Oh, yeah.
Like they could rescue people in the floods, they could
Or they
really,
could rescue animals too.
yes. And they're great rescuers and like saviors and say, I save you, I rescue you, I help you, I assist you. So my niece, she works at the most difficult hospital in one of the most difficult hospitals in the United States, but she works at Harborview. That's here in Seattle. And that was the hospital that Grey's Anatomy was based off of.
Oh, yeah.
So she works in the psych ward as a phlebotomist right now while she's getting her medical degree. Sometimes even when you're working with patients in her situation that don't value you, it's soul crushing for her. And she just has to remember, I'm doing right by them, even if they're not in their right mind to know it.
She's helping other people.
Yeah.
That's what means something.
Yes. But I think these people actually, to create longevity and worthwhileness, you have to feel that your gifts are of like a tremendous value at a healing level.
Yeah.
You're not built for drudgery with this.
I agree. It's really a beautiful placement. And
it is. And they're also usually these people are very artistic and creative. Like
that's what I was going to say. Yes.
Yeah. Like her and my daughter, they do karaoke Friday nights at the grandparents' house. And I told her, I said, Emma, I want you to sing 80s music for me. She's so funny. So she sang the Beach Boys. I'm like, okay, that's more like 70s. I know that's more 70s, but I love the effort. She goes, okay, Aunt Mary. Okay. Anyways, beautiful voice, can paint, can draw, so artistic. And I'm like, why be a doctor and go through all that? You should just be an artist, singer, dancer. And
yes.
Like, Aunt Mary, I'm actually thinking about it. Work is really hard. So there's this, right? Like music and art can heal too. You don't have to work at the Harborview Hospital in the psych ward. And she's like, that must be more important than just, a painter or a singer. And I'm like, ask Picasso that. Ask Taylor Swift that. Ask Lady Gaga what she thinks. She's like, Aunt Mary, I think that boat has sailed. That ship has.
But I do think their self-worth, of course they need to earn money, but I think it comes more from the deeds and the appreciation that they get from others. Like your niece, like she wanted to be appreciated for what she did.
Absolutely. She wants to know her work matters. Yeah.
Yes. But this is a really beautiful placement, but I think since there is kind of a lack of boundaries, they may be tempted to overspend or,
Absolutely, because Neptune and Jupiter are ruling this house, right? And
you might have a double whammy there.
Yeah, it's almost like you don't want to pay the tolls and the parking tickets and get new tires on the car. Like drudgery and boring bills and the T-Mobile bill for your cell phone and read the fine print and do taxes. All of that is just abhorrent.
Yeah. And they forget. This is a placement where they just like, oh, wait, don't turn off the electric. I forgot,
As a matter of fact, they might not even live in a dwelling where they have to even know about it. Like they might rent a bedroom at their parents' home just forever so they don't have to pay attention to the electrical bill. Yeah, this is kind of the dreamer, but I will say these people kind of want somebody else to take care of all the drudgery bills. Like, blah, 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 you pay the taxes, honey.
Or they depend on the universe to bring it, Yeah. I know the universe is going to come through and my phone bill is going to be paid,
I know, right? I know the universe is going to call the IRS and pay my taxes for me.
Exactly. They get in that Neptunian dreamland and they're like, I just believe it'll all work out. And I'm not making fun. I think this placement is lovely.
I love this placement too, but the fairies have got my back. Fairies are paying the mortgage this month.
Yes, exactly.
So you guys have to leave us a comment on your placement. What did you think about this video? And do you still want the first house? Do you still want us to do the first house? It's the last one in this series. So let us know your stories. Let us know if you can relate. Also, are you guys paying attention to the entirety of the chart, right? You can't just look at this and know about all of you. You've got to integrate it. Like if this Pisces placement is yours, you got to go see what Jupiter and Neptune are doing in your chart to really know the story of this placement.
Yeah, it's going to be different for everybody. Yeah.
Oh, Connie, this was so fun. And I
It was
recommend
fun.
everybody, I have a playlist called Connie Jo. So if you want more Connie Jo videos, you can just go type in Connie Jo on the search tab on my YouTube channel, and you can go see all of Connie Jo's different videos. She does tons of work on Black Moon Lilith, on the asteroids, compatibility, Venus compatibility, Mars compatibility. You have great videos over there, Connie. This was such a joy. It was so fun doing the second house with you.
Yes, it was, love.
Signing off from Seattle.
Bye from Florida.
We'll see y'all soon. Bye.